Hello, hello, hello. Now, thought I would just do a short video about our mini 3-day guide to fasting. So I just decided after a few of you expressed an interest on getting onto fasting. And so I thought, right, okay, we are going to dive into our our fasting challenge, not fat fasting necessarily, but a fasting challenge. So I thought we would take you into a 3-day journey. So whether you're new to fasting or looking to deepen your practice, this guide will break down not only how to fast, but why it's one of the most powerful tools for health, weight release, and cellular regeneration. Of course, this fits beautifully into our Turn Back the Clock challenge. And so whether you're on our Turn Back the Clock challenge or not, this will be a good place to start. So we're starting on Monday. So this Monday, we're starting. And so I'm going to take you through. So let me just see if it's going to let me do this. Here we go. Okay, first off, why does fasting work? Now, we've got lots of videos on the group around fasting, but I thought I'd just take you quickly through why it's really important to fast, whether it's a 24-hour fast or 36 or 72-hour fasting. So fasting works by triggering autophagy, and that is basically cellular cleanup and regeneration. Fasting gives your body a break from digestion so it can focus on repair. It also helps improve insulin sensitivity. And so we know how important insulin is for our health and well-being, because if we have too much insulin being produced, then we will put on weight and we will feel really sluggish and everything else. But when we become insulin sensitive, that means our body will only produce what it actually needs. And what that means is it helps burn fat and helps you release the weight again. Reduces inflammation. So this supports many aspects of our health, including mental clarity and mood stability. So it encourages stem cell regeneration, especially after 72 hours. So what happens within our fasting? So this is very brief. I've gone into this in a lot more detail, but basically 12 hours, your blood sugar levels drop, insulin lowers, you enter the early stages of ketosis. Your body begins switching from burning sugar to burning fat. Now, you're already doing this if you're doing the intermittent fasting. So this is a no-brainer. It's so easy. 24 hours. So human growth hormone increases. So autophagy, as in the cell recycling, is activated and the gut begins to rest and heal. It's a lot more to it than that, but this is basically just the outline. 36 hours. Ketone production increases. So you're in ketosis already, but basically it really steps up our fat burning ability. Energy feels more stable, inflammation markers begin to fall, and mental clarity starts improving. At 48 hours, lots of exciting stuff starts to being happening. So autophagy deepens. So the cell recycling gets more and more. And what that basically means is your cells are replenishing and becoming much, much healthier. It enhances your immune system reset. So your immune system becomes more powerful. It also, your fat burning really starts to ramp up. Leptin and ghrelin, which is your hunger hormones, begin to balance. This is why the first 2 days of fasting are often the most challenging, because these two hormones aren't necessarily in balance or your friends at the moment. So if you're if you're 2 days in, this is when it actually starts getting much, much easier. So 60 hours, stem cell production ramps up. Your digestive system is almost entirely at rest. You might feel incredibly calm, even euphoric. And also, when I first started doing fasting, I noticed my messages that I get from my guides become much clearer. And the longer you go into the fasting, the more clarity you gain in that respect. However, I don't recommend doing much longer than 72 hours unless you're under supervision. Okay, 72 hours. full body regeneration mode. Stem cells peak, old cells are replaced, and the detox pathways are in high gear. This is your total health reboot, which is why we're doing a 3-day fast, because why not get a total health reboot? So your fasting options. So I don't want you, if you've never done a fast, to jump straight in with a water fast. Not a good idea, I don't think. Let's get you into this gently. So the beginner phase. So if you've never done a fast before, then a mono fast is actually a perfect way to really get you into it. And even if you have already done the ultimate detox and you're in the advanced, but you're not ready to do a water fast, then a mono fast is a great way of really helping your body to reset and to actually feel good. Especially if you've got a really busy time ahead, then a mono fast is a really good way of getting fasting but not fasting. So what is it? It's a simple animal-based food repeated at each meal. So you choose from eggs, sardines, lamb, or beef. Doesn't have to be beef pates. It can be beef steak. It can be roast beef. It can be whatever you feel like it. But basically, this is what you eat for 3 days. And so the day before, you eat low inflammatory meals. So your normal day-to-day food, and you hydrate with salt or salt. And of course, drinking lots of water like you're doing already. So just don't overeat before you start. So just eat normally. And so you eat within your 4 to 6 hour window. So this is while you're on the fast. So you're shortening your window of eating, but in between, when you're eating in your 4 to 6 hour window, I still recommend 2 meals if you can do it. You might want to graze a little bit more, so you might have 3. So say, for example, if you're on sardines, you might want to have 2 tins at lunch and 2 tins at dinner, but if you're peckish, have another tin. There's no limit as to how much you can have, but really try to have a regular meals. So 2 meals optimally, but 3 at a push. So if you're doing eggs, for example, make sure you have some eggs or cooked meat ahead of time. So make sure you have, preparation is key. And that's what I'm trying to say, is make sure you have, if you're on beef, that you've got some roast beef cooked so that you can grab it if you're really, really hungry. And also do not forget to have your Himalayan salt or your Celtic salt sole, and make sure that you're having magnesium and you're applying it topically. So whether it's my magnesium gel or magnesium oil, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you're doing this. And if you can do this as often as possible through a fast, no matter what fast you're having, you will get better results. And also you will, if you make sure you're having your sole. So make sure you're having salt, make sure you're having magnesium. Any one of these fasts, make sure you're doing that. Okay, intermediate. So we're talking broth fast here. So if you've done a mono fast, or if you've done a 1-day water fast, then intermediate is your broth fasting. So this is hugely beneficial because it's actually starting to heal the gut. And also with broths, whether it's chicken or beef bone, you can have both. If you're doing that, then you're getting 3 types of collagen. So you're getting type 1, type 2, type 3, and they hugely beneficial. And also if you're doing chicken, you're also getting the benefit of not only collagen and other nutrients, of course, but you're also getting hyaluronic acid, which helps with hydration, hydration of the skin, hydration of the cushioning around the joints, and also it helps with, it's also got glucosamine and chondroitin. And if you've ever had aches and pains, you'll probably know glucosamine supplements. But with broths, you do not need to take those supplements because you're already getting it in a form that is so absorbable for you. So with your monofast, so doing it light or low inflammatory or carnivore meal the day before. And make sure, again, you're hydrating with your sole and your water. So also with the broth, you're allowed to have lemon jellies. And so we recommend making up the lemon jellies with gelatin and some lemon juice. And so this is really, really useful when you're struggling with just broth and you just want something with a little bit of texture, or you just want something slightly different. And so this is where lemon jellies, because it's made from gelatin, which is type 1 and type 3 collagen, goes hand in hand with chicken broth. So if you're not a fan like me of beef bone broth, then jellies are a really good option to add in with this. So have your broth between a 4 and 6 hour window, and you can sip those through the day. So you don't have to have meals per se with this. But if you can make it so that you have a bit of a break in between sort of your major broths, then all the better. You don't have to. It's not a priority. The most priority thing is to make sure you're getting broths in you and that you're having enough liquid. So when you're making your broths, so a kilo or so of beef bones or chicken carcasses, and I like to add the feet because the feet have higher levels of nutrition in them. So, and then what you do with beef bones is I roast mine so that they have a nice color and texture and taste. If I'm going to have beef bone broth, I would never have it not roasted bones, because that's even worse than normal beef bone broth as far as I'm concerned. But chicken carcasses, you don't need to. And I just add a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar and I leave it to soak overnight. I add salt, apple cider vinegar and water to the bones, leave it to soak overnight, and then I personally pressure cook mine for 2.5 hours. But if you haven't got a pressure cooker or you don't want to use a pressure cooker, then you need to put it in a slow cooker or simmer it for 12 to 24 hours at least. And then you strain. And basically, I always put my salt in while I'm cooking. Sorry, I've written that wrong. So, okay, so the advanced fast. So water or fat fasting. So it's ideal for those of you who've done the broth fasting, you've done the mono fasting, and you want to try something a bit different. And so it's really, really useful. So what's your water fast? Well, it's just water. You can, however, have herb teas. They can really break things up. And if you pick teas which actually have benefits, as in like ginger tea, which is low inflammatory, stops nausea, all the better. But if you wanted to mix this with a fat fast, then there's lots of videos within our group about the fat fasting. So we did a fat fast, I think it was October last year. And so there's a lot of, if you just go into the search button in the network group, then just put fast and you'll see lots of videos around fat fast under there. And so basically, if the day before, have a small meal, just a small meal the night before, and begin increasing your salt intake. And so I want you to drink at least 3 liters of water daily you need 1 to 2 teaspoons of salt or 3 tablespoons of salt sole. It's a really important component to stop you getting side effects. So for example, as you can see on this slide, it says caution, stop if you're dizzy or feeling weak and have salt. If that doesn't work, then add some broth. Your body might not be ready for this level of fasting yet. We are all unique beings and it doesn't suit everyone, which is why we're giving you tips. So you might find after 24 hours that you're over water fasting and you want to drop in to broth fasting. That's brilliant. That's fine. Don't push yourself to do it. It's not a race. It's really important that you feel really comfortable doing whatever you're doing. Also, you can, if you choose, add fat to this. So, for example, if you're finding that you're just really struggling with everything, you could make yourself some cacao fat bombs. So basically, I get everyone to use ceremonial cacao, which has nothing in it apart from cacao, and brown butter. So you brown your butter, and I just add a small amount of cacao to mine to give it a bit of flavor and a bit of zhuzh, but you don't have to have lots. just make yourself some cacao bombs just in case you need it through the fast. Or you can really get benefits from having a fat fast. So don't worry about it if you feel that you're having fat twice a day. Doesn't matter. It's a really good fat fasting is hugely, hugely beneficial. So 2 tablespoons of fat, and you can have with drinks, and you can make butter tea. And I'd rather have them separate. Or you can make like a sort of broth with ghee, you can do that. So, up to you how you use this. And so you don't have to stick to whether you have a fat fast or water fast or a broth fast or whatever. Just go with what feels right for you. And so don't forget that herbal teas are hugely, hugely beneficial. And so how to prepare for any fast is basically eat light. And if you can, if you're on the carnivore diet, stay, of course, on carnivore. If you're low inflammatory, stay on low inflammatory. And so, of course, you're avoiding sugar and caffeine and alcohol. Saying that, with coffee, if you're doing the broth fast or the mono fast, then 1 or 2 coffees is okay. And of course, if you're doing water fast, it wouldn't count as a water fast, but it's up to you if you want to have coffee. Because I know if you're a coffee drinker, the headaches can be unbearable if you don't have it. So just work with whatever you're willing to do. Make sure that you're hydrated and make sure you're having enough salt. And also using your magnesium oil or gel. If you're new to this and you haven't got magnesium oil or gel, get some. Honestly, it's a game changer. So it really makes a big, big difference. So what can you drink when you're fasting? Okay, so filtered water with salt or sole, herbal teas, of course, no sweeteners, broth for mono and broth fasts, butter tea or ghee in water or fat fast. And so if you're wanting to be a purist and just have water, then of course butter isn't in there. But if you're wanting to really ramp up your metabolism and actually fat can really help. So the other helpful additions we've already gone through, gelatin lemon jellies, especially for broth fast, and if you want to in a mono fast, they're really useful to keep you on track. And it actually makes it so that it's much more beneficial. You can stay on the fast longer. So, don't forget your magnesium. And also doing things like walks, doing breath work, journaling. If you feel hungry and starving hungry, distract yourself. It's a really, really useful way of actually succeeding in this. And so when you're coming off your fast, so you've done 3 days of fasting, yeehaw, don't jump into full meals. If you are doing a water fast, this is the most important thing. So start with broth. So if you've done a water fast, start with broth. An hour or so later, then have one food. So whether it's steak or but basically continue going on with your salt intake and your hydration. So easing back into your normal way of eating. So whether you're on low inflammatory or whether you're on the carnivore, just ease back into. Of course, you're not going to be eating processed foods, are you? And you're not going to be eating sugars and carbs. But just in case you were, it's just a reminder to really, really be gentle on yourself and enjoy the results, because it's just a really, really wonderful way of really embracing your ability to heal. And so it's like if you're sipping on broth, chewing on eggs, having a steak 2 times a day, or you're diving full on into a full water fast. This is a gift to you, your gift to your body. Let's heal it, let's restore it, and let's turn back the clock. I know you are going to love doing this fast. And so it's a little challenge at the beginning, actually, of our journey with the 6 months. But if you're not on the 6 month, that's absolutely fine. But you might just want to join us. Okay, so thank you very much for joining us and have a most magical, magical time on this 3-day fat fast. not fat fast, 3-day fasting, whichever one you choose. Bye for now.